Afghanistan, Taliban bans women from universities amid condemnation. Like the video and subscribe. We will continue to bring you hot news every day. The Taliban has banned women from universities in Afghanistan, sparking international condemnation and despair among young people in the country. The Higher Education Minister made the announcement on Tuesday, saying it would take immediate effect. The ban further restricts women's education. Girls have already been excluded from secondary schools since the Taliban returned last year. In Kabul, female students have told the BBC about their anguish. "They destroyed the only bridge that could connect me with my future," one Kabul University student said. "How can I react? I believe that I could study and change my future or bring the light to my life, but they destroyed it." The US on Tuesday roundly condemned the Taliban's actions in the strongest terms and said such a move will come with consequences for the Taliban. The Taliban cannot expect to be a legitimate member of the international community until they respect the rights of all in Afghanistan, said Secretary of State Antony Blinken in a statement. No country can thrive when half of its population is held back. Western countries have demanded all year that the Taliban improve female education if they wish to be formally recognized as Afghanistan's government. The United Nations also said it was deeply concerned. Education is a fundamental human right. A door closed to women's education is a door closed to the future of Afghanistan, said Ramazul Akbarov, UN Chief's Deputy Special Representative for Afghanistan. The Taliban's leader Hibatullah Akhundzada and his inner circle have been against modern education, particularly for girls and women. The Taliban had promised a softer rule after seizing power last year following the US withdrawal from the country. However, the hardline Islamists have continued to roll back women's rights and freedoms in the country. The ban on tertiary education follows rules set last month, where women were banned from parks, gyms and public baths in the capital. Tightening rules. Just 3 months ago, the Taliban had allowed thousands of girls and women to sit university entrance exams in most provinces across the country. But there were sweeping restrictions on the subjects they could apply for, with engineering, economics, veterinary science and agriculture blocked and journalism severely restricted. Under Taliban rule, universities had already been operating under discriminatory rules for women, with gender-segregated entrances to campuses and separate classrooms. Female students could only be taught by woman professors or old men. One woman told the BBC about how there were too many difficulties just trying to continue her education after the Taliban takeover. She said, "We fought with our brothers, with our fathers, with society and even with the government. We went through a hard situation just to be able to continue our education. At that time at least I was happy that I could graduate from university and achieve my dreams. But, now how can I convince myself? What has changed in Afghanistan in 20 years? Girls tears over chaotic Taliban schools U-turn. A trip to the park, no mums allowed." Afghanistan's economy has been largely dependent on foreign aid in recent decades, but aid agencies have partly, and in some cases fully, withdrawn support to the education sector after the Taliban refused to allow girls into secondary schools. There was an exodus of trained academics after the withdrawal of US-led forces, and this year many teaching staff have gone unpaid for months. In March, the Taliban had promised to reopen some high schools for girls but then cancelled the move on the day they were due to return, citing funding and syllabus issues which rights groups said were excuses. Issue splits Taliban. Analysis by Yajid Alimi, BBC South Asia correspondent. There has been speculation for over a month now that the Taliban government would ban university education for women. One female student predicted it a few weeks ago. "One day we will wake up and they will say girls are banned from universities," she had said. And so, while many Afghans might have expected that sooner or later this decision would be taken, it still comes as a shock. Last month women were barred from parks, gyms and swimming pools. In March this year, the Taliban government did not deliver on its commitment to open secondary schools for girls. From conversations with Taliban leaders over the past year, it is evident that there is disagreement within the Taliban on the issue of girls' education. Off the record, some Taliban members have repeatedly said they are hopeful and working to try and ensure girls get an education. Girls were allowed to sit for graduation exams for secondary schools 2 weeks ago, in 31 of Afghanistan's 34 provinces, even though they haven't been allowed to be in school for more than a year. That provided a glimmer of hope, which has now been extinguished. We hope the video was useful to you. Like the video and subscribe. We will continue to bring you hot news every day.